Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges as he explores turning the page on his life and yours. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Producer Paul. Nice to be with you again. Our guest today offers profound as well as delightful insight in what it takes to live the kind of life that truly makes a difference. And it makes a difference for you and for the people around you. As I spoke with Richard Flint earlier this week, I discovered amazing congruence in our core beliefs. It was quite fun. We both believe personal choices result in impactful personal behaviors. Now, quite simply, as you look at his track record, Richard Flint is a powerhouse. With more than 35 years' experience in the field of human behavior and human development, Richard has cemented himself as a renowned keynote speaker and seminar leader, having addressed more than 200,000 people across the globe every year. That's like cities that fit in 200,000 people. He's also a prolific author with 19 books and has produced more than 100 audio and video learning programs. Richard has made appearances in over 100 radio and TV shows, showcasing his exceptional ability to captivate audiences with his knowledge and insight. And I look forward to him captivating us today. We're going to have a lot of fun. With that, let's bring on our special guest, Richard Flint. Welcome to the next chapter with Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. Well, I am so excited to be here. I've been excited ever since we did our little call earlier this week because, like you said, I think you and I have a lot of connections about the purpose of life. Not the meaning of life, but the purpose of life.
Oh, that's interesting. So tell me your distinction between meaning and purpose. I've never heard those in distinction.
Well, purpose is where I laid the foundation for my life. That foundation, I base it in 4 questions. Because if I'm going to have a purpose, I need to be able to understand. So what I do when I work with people is we work through these 4 questions. And Charlie, they come in one order, and you cannot rearrange them, because if you do, then the process will never work.
Okay.
Question number 1, what do I really want for my life? And the difference that in this and what many people ask is most people talk about, what do you want for your life? And that's too broad. And that word really narrows it in because it makes it my personal choice. What do I really want for my life? And that begins to set up then my directional finder. As I look from today to tomorrow, by using yesterday to today correct, then I begin to gain the clarity to try to know what it is that I really want for my life. Question number 2, why do I really want it? That question's critical because that's where you build your commitment with conviction. There are a lot of people who have a commitment, but they're not committed to it. It's just a thought that's in their emotions that is just roaming around in there. But they don't have the conviction. And when you lack the conviction, when things get tough, what do? You throw it aside and you say, okay, what's next? Now, those are 2 very powerful personal questions. And then question number 3 takes us a little deeper. What price am I willing to pay to have this? And, from our conversation, I know this about you, and it's true about me, and it's probably true about 99% of your audience, that everything in life has a price tag. And as long as you're willing to pay the price tag, you go for it. But if you stop paying the price tag, then the journey becomes confusing. It becomes conflicting. And all of a sudden, you start looking for the shortcuts. You start looking for the detours. Because the price tag is where everything starts coming together. And then question number 4, what behaviors will I have to improve in order to achieve this? And this is where the choices come in, Charlie. This is where you have to get honest with yourself. When I was running a private counseling center for a very, 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 very large church, I learned in working with people, most people want honesty as long as it's not honest. And, we're seeing this today. I was just watching a little bit of the news, and they were talking about what happened in Maui. And that hotel that burned to the ground, I've probably stayed there 7 or 8 times and doing conventions over there. But no one wants to be held accountable. And until accountability becomes a part of my growth process, then what I do is I tend to find my excuses. I tend to point my finger with blame. I tend to justify my behavior. And so what I do, talking about what I really want for my life, why I really want it, and what price tag, all of that is nullified by behavior. If you talk to anyone who's been in my audiences anywhere around the world, and you ask them, what do you remember about that guy?
Can I tell you?
Yep, go ahead.
Behavior never lies.
Ah, that's right. And that's it. And that's the thought that I'm known for. And here's my thought, my deeper thought, is that behavior is the real definition of what you want in your life. You can say whatever you want, but the real demonstration, the real definition, the real commitment with conviction is my behavior. And behavior cannot lie. And how many times have you seen, heard this, or been a part of it? That the greatest confusion that many people face in their life is the contradiction between what they say and what they do.
Yeah. It all depends. Has it hit the core of their value systems that they cannot operate outside that core? And until it gets to that core, that basis of evaluating our lives, it can't be compromised. Until it gets to that, we are subject to all sorts of whim. You know what I want to do, Richard? I got an idea. And I knew this would happen on our show. I knew as soon as I had you on, whatever notes I had, I was going to throw away. Because I just knew talking to you, you're going to bring up all sorts of things to talk about. I want to spend a very brief time. I don't want to spend our whole time. I want to spend like 5 minutes. Run me through those 4 questions and see, let's play a game. Run me through that and give me responses and ask, and then give me your candid report.
Okay. What do you really want for your life?
See, I knew the answer to that right away, so that was easy. I want to influence and inspire. Those are my goals in life when it has to do with other people, what that's to do with my career, even my family. Influence and inspire. So those are the 2 critical words for me.
Okay, and what you have to do there then, Charlie, is, okay, I want to influence and inspire. So I got to dig deeper into that and ask myself, how am I going to do that? What's the platform? What's the stage? What's the journey that I have to continually be working on? It's not about how good you are. It's about how exceptional you want to become.
Yikes. That's a scary thought. I have this external desire to... Tell me the question again so I make sure I answer it.
What do you really want for your life?
Then how do I plan to do it? I want to influence and inspire other people. My legacy is this. I don't care if my name ever gets mentioned in my legacy. I want to be a legacy of love and care and giving to other people, and that so that they catch the value of it and they do the same thing with other people, and it just keeps reproducing and reproducing. Whether anybody ever credits me with it or not makes no difference to me. But if I get a few hundred, a few thousand people that are living that way, then I feel I have left a legacy on the planet that I want to live, that I want to leave. I do that through my writing, my podcast, but the big thing I want to do now in my older age is I want to write a book about it. And I want to write a book to the late millennials, early Gen Zs, 25 to 35 years old, as an elder. I view my archetype, as I've studied archetypes, my archetype at 74 years old is I am an elder. And I would just like not prescriptive, not preachy, but just things I have noticed in the world and things that I see work and don't work. That's sort of my strategy.
Yeah, can I take that down a level deeper?
Of course. Yes.
Okay, two things. First of all, what I want for my life, my purpose, is to create a positive presence that has presence when I'm not present. I want my presence to live on after me. When I'm on the stage in front of people, what I want to do when I walk out of there, I want to have presented a presentation that has life. And that life has been breathed into the people that are in that audience. And I'm smart enough to know I can't touch everybody. But I'm looking for the 2% that really, really, really want that for their life. Now, when it comes to really being able to do that, I have to bring certain things to my life. Because you and I both know, and your audience knows, life is not constant. Life is always in transition. And understanding that, what your listeners have to understand is that there are 3 A's that you have to bring to your life that keep you clear on your purpose. The first A is you got to be willing to adapt.
Okay.
You know, there's some people that adapting is fearful because they see adapting as change.
Right.
So they're fearful of that. And the number one reason that people fear change is that it upsets their routine.
Right.
And
it's unpredictable.
Sameness. Yeah. We fight for sameness rather than look for adventure.
And that's beautiful.
And what that does is that holds us in a circle of sameness. The second A, which becomes more challenging, is once I know where I need to adapt, then I got to make the adjustments. And that's where the rubber meets the road. I talk to a lot of business owners, all different sizes. I was talking to one this morning, and he told me, Richard, I know I need to adapt. But he said it scares the daylights out of me. Because if I make adjustments, it means that I have to be the leader in making the adjustments. But I can't tell my people what to do, and then I don't do it.
Right.
And you have to understand that adjustments are not about change. Adjustments are about improvement. And then the third A that you have to have if you're really going to work on what you really want for your life is you then have to take where you need to adapt in the adjustments you've made. Now what I do is I got to align them to my life. I've got to align them to my business. I've got to take what I know and fit it into the process of the business that I'm doing. And what I find is when I talk to a lot of leaders is that they understand, they adapt, they understand the adjustment, but they don't know how to align it. And I spent the last 5 years of my life creating a transitional for people in business, which is called my Success House. And it's an 8-module, 16-week program that takes you through actually what you have to do to keep your business alive. A business can be in business, but still be dead.
Oh, of course. Yeah. You had 4 questions. I don't think we need to go in any more 4 because you've covered so much in this. And there's a couple of comments I would like to make. One thing you said that in your legacy, you want your presence to be known even when you're not present. Does that mean
Correct.
you want? This is a thing that I think about. Is it important that Richard Flint is known and present, or is it important that the ideals and the strategies and the tactics that you put, those are present even when you're not present?
It's what I teach.
Yes.
What I teach.
Yes.
I'm just an instrument. You know, you and I were talking about this because we both come from theological backgrounds. But this is my ministry. I'm doing exactly what God wanted me to do with my life. And if you told me basically 40 years ago this is what I've been doing, I'd have laughed at you. But God has a plan for our lives. And that's where we have to have that foundation of belief, trust, and faith in ourselves and be willing to submit. The thing that holds most of us hostage is that we listen to fear more than we listen to the message of growth, the message of becoming.
And this message of fear, I really am reluctant to go to politics and where we are in our nation, but we live in a nation of fear. And the media, I have very little respect for the media because they represent the extremes, and they represent or they attempt to disseminate fear that if you don't believe as they believe, if you don't believe in the candidates they believe, if you don't believe in policies they believe, the whole country is going to fall apart. And I struggle with that so much, and yet it seems to be a way of gathering an audience, that people love an enemy, and people love a prescription of these are the 3 things you need to do to make your life okay. And we just fall into this conundrum of no personal thinking, no personal choices. It's just that I'm going to line myself with the ideologies of one particular group, and we don't think broadly. What do you think about that?
Well, and I agree with what you're talking about, but I think we have to expand it a little bit. I think there's a difference between fear and fright.
Oh, really?
And I think fear is a positive, because the purpose of fear is to slow us down and let us look at ourselves from the inside and see if what we are is what we believe we are. And that's a mindset, that belief, that's that trust, that's that faith. But if fear becomes fright, which is what's happening in our country today, we're not making people fearful, we're frightening people. And when people become frightened, I'll tell you what, I can manipulate you, because fright is based in 3 things. I get you to doubt, I get you to worry, and I make you feel uncertain. And when I do that, I can control you. I can manipulate you and take you everywhere I want to go. And if you look what's happening in our country today, how much doubt is there? Who do you believe today? Who do you trust?
Oh, where do you go to find belief and trust unless you go to the fact-checking devices? And, who wants to do all of that? And it's very difficult. But I really like your distinction. That's really quite insightful, Richard, the distinction between fear and fright. Fear is a very not only normal but necessary human condition, in that, the old stove thing, you burn your hand on a stove, you're fearful of a stove. Well, you should be. That there's nothing wrong with that, or if you're fearful of attack, but when we live in fright, and that is sort of not really based on facts, but based on opinion and emotions, then we are easily controllable, because we want to get out of that fright. We want to get into a comfort zone, and we want to be able to live status quo and make everything just be cool as it is before. And I see that. There was a question I had for later that I wanted to talk about certainty. So our ethos, our political, social, not just political, just our social ethos is one. I love your word. I've used fear for so long. I like it's fright. Is that we are afraid, and we're afraid of being wrong. We're afraid of someone else knowing more than we know, or we have heard so much bad press on what somebody else may believe that we are reluctant to even do anything about it. Brilliant insight.
Can I make 2 comments here?
Of course you may.
Okay. Number 1, there's an understanding you have to have that will keep fear from becoming fright. And one of those understandings is this: from the day that Charlie was born to the day that Charlie dies, he is going to consistently fight 6 fears in his life. And if you can't find your number one fear and control it, that's what turns it into fright. And the 6 are, and in no particular order, the fear of the unknown, which is one of the big things being used today to create people being afraid. Because we look to the future, and that future is controlled by the uncertainty. So I doubt it and I worry about it. There's the fear of abandonment, that I am going to be left alone. And if I open my mouth and say the wrong thing, like in today, I'm a racist. So it's easier to go along and just subject yourself to what is than it is to stand up for yourself. And so I can be in a crowd and be alone. There's then the fear of failure. And we've done so much damage in what we've taught people, because I believe that all emotions travel in threes. And I think that when we look at success, we've taught success and failure. I was doing a program on stage, and this guy in front of me spent 25 minutes talking about you don't want to fail. So they introduced me. I walked out, and I looked at him. He was standing on the corner, and I looked at the others, and I said, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I want you to forget everything this man just said. Because
you didn't really. Did you really do that?
Yeah. Because I'm not going to let people sit there and be confused, because it's success, it's failure, and it's defeat. And defeat is the permanent scar. And when you ask me what is failure, I define failure with one word. One word will define failure: fertilizer. All failure is fertilizer.
Yes.
And if I get knocked down, but if I have that belief, that trust, and that faith in me, then I'm going to get back up. And every time I get back up, that's success. But if I don't have that belief, that trust, and that faith, then what do I have? I have doubt, worry, and uncertainty. So I'm going to crawl over in the corner, and I'm going to get in the club of all those little maggots down there who have given up. Failure is the opportunity to get up stronger. And then you have the fear of rejection. And by the way, I couldn't reject you if I wanted to. Rejection is not what I do to you. Rejection is what you tell me to do with you.
How's that?
Well, you ever watch somebody who is always negative?
Yes.
They're asking you to treat them that way. Someone who is never really going to do anything, all they're going to do is try. They set themselves up. They set themselves up for rejection. And then there's the fear of loss. Goes back to everything has a price tag. And then, Charlie, this one's interesting. It's the number one fear in the millennials. It's the number one fear in young people today. It's the fear of success.
Why is that?
That seems strange.
Yes.
But can parents do too much for a child?
Absolutely.
Can parents teach a child to always be dependent and not be independent?
I think they can. I think we did that with our son.
Can parents teach a child they can have anything they want in their life as long as someone will give it to them?
Yeah, that's a pretty damaging. That's a pretty damaging.
But success is that strength of that foundation of belief, trust, and faith, where every day, because of that, you get up. And even though the terrain is changing, because the terrain of life is always changing, you get up, but because of that foundation, and there are only two foundations that humans can stand on: belief, trust, and faith, doubt, worry, and uncertainty. But if I'm going to have success in my life, every day I get up and I don't want to be good. I don't want to be great. I want to be exceptional. And exceptional is when I'm willing to step beyond where other people stop.
Would you define exceptional for me? Because that sounds, that has this feeling of sort of this egocentric that, I want to be better than everybody else. But I have this feeling that's not what you intend by that statement.
No, it's that I don't want any limits on my life.
Oh,
limits are self-imposed. But I have such a strong belief, such a strong trust and faith in myself that I can see beyond where other people are blind. I know what I want for my life, Charlie. I know what I want my future to look like. I know what I have to do to create that positive presence that has a presence when I'm no longer present.
Let me stop you right there because I'm very curious. The process that you use to come upon those decisions, do you take personal retreats? What do you do to come up with something that clear? How do you do that?
Well, one of the things I do, Charlie, is I write for 2 hours every morning. And
is it just journaling or is it toward a book?
No, it's like right now I'm working on 3 books.
Okay.
But it's clearing my head. And I do a thing I created 12 years ago called the Morning Minute, where every morning I send you one of my philosophies about life with a piece of wisdom, and it's for 60 seconds. And I've got tons of people who start their day with me, and the philosophy is just there to clear your mind to start your day.
Is it an audio?
And yes, it's video. I'm sorry, it's video. I send it to you every morning.
Oh, I'm going to sign up.
Yeah, and it's powerful. But because most people run into their day, they don't walk into their day. And if I run into my day, I'm never prepared for the day I'm going to have. And the things that ruin most people's days are 2 things: unpredictable and uncontrollable events. And the reason they can control me is because I haven't prepared myself with the right pace for my life. One of the first things I teach everybody that I mentor is the power of pace. Because you can live too slow or you can live too fast. And most people don't know how to figure out what their right pace is. We got one of our small group retreats coming up in October where our theme is Stop Chasing Your Tail.
Yeah, I saw that on your website.
Yeah, and we're dealing with the 3 P's for allowing you to control your life: pace, patience, and persistency. And, I believe you either control your life or your life controls you.
You and I are so on the same page. And you know what I'm going to do now? Is it about break time, Paul, do you think? Yeah, we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to get personal, and I'm going to have you give feedback, and we will talk about choice and behavior, which is really key to both of us. So let's take a brief break, and we'll be right back. Hi there, this is Charlie Hedges, and you've been listening to The Next Chapter with Charlie. And I got to tell you, everybody, I'm so excited to have Richard Flint on this. Richard is so precise in the use of his vocabulary. For instance, I'll just bring one. The difference between fright and fear is really so helpful, and yet it's just an excess of vocabulary. He is going to continue to give us that wisdom as we go in the second half of the show. Now, Richard, we both believe in choice. We both believe in behavior. I'm working on a book right now that's titled, well, the working title, I don't know what the title will be, but the working title is The Person You Can Become, It's a Choice. And I work with this quote that I heard in the mid-'80s that was, "You are who you have been becoming." Richard, that has stuck with me for 40 years, that I am the amalgamation of my past, which, I believe that's true, and it's, some of it's my choice, some of it's life coming upon me, God, universe, source, whatever, giving me situations. I'm Viktor Frankl is that I can't control situations, but I control my responses. But I believe that if I am what I have been becoming, that means tomorrow I will be who I am being today. I will become who I am today. So in that old, tired statement, there is great truth. This is the first day of the rest of your life. You are determining who are you going to become, and that is a matter of choice. What do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I sure do. One of this is that, when I work with people, one of the first things I want to do is take away their right to blame, their right to have reasons, and their right to justify what isn't. And I do it through this one thought, is that you don't do anything in your life without giving yourself permission to do it. Every decision, every choice you make, you may be influenced by other people, but you don't do anything in your life without giving yourself permission to do it. Now, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And even though it may be sort of silenced or hidden, it is still my choice, my permission. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I concur.
So if I believe that and accept that, that takes away my excuses. It takes away my blame.
But it also gives me a plethora of freedom of things I can do, and that if I make these choices, I can live the life that I want to live. I can be present even when I'm not present in the minds of other people.
Absolutely. And then the second thing to that is I think that in your life, in your yesterday, and we need to understand what yesterday is. Yesterday is a reference library, not a room to live in. I know a lot of people that have.
Man, I got to tell you, you are so full of incredible quotes. That is, say that again, because I think that is invaluable.
Yesterday is a reference library, not a room to live in. Now, let me take your listeners down just a little bit to that. Yesterday has two sets of filing cabinets in it, and whatever today becomes is dependent on which set of filing cabinets I go to. I have one set of filing cabinets that everything that are in those filing cabinets are all of my disappointments, all of my negative thoughts, everything in my life that I think has gone bad. And if I go there, what I'm doing is I'm building a life where I'm living from yesterday to today. So the only thing I know about today is what I've taken out of those filing cabinets of yesterday. Now, there's another set of filing cabinets that are about all your successes. It's about everything that's gone right in your life. It's everything that's brought you happiness, brought you fulfillment, created the freedom in your life. And if that is where I go when I have to make a choice, because I'll always use one of these two sets of filing cabinets to make my choices. And if I go to that filing cabinet of my successes, then what I'm preparing myself to do is to live from today to tomorrow. The majority of people live from yesterday to today, and they get trapped in the circle of sameness because in that file cabinet, there's fright. In that file cabinet, there's disappointment. In that file cabinet are everything that I can use to justify the life that I don't like, but I continue to live it. But in that file cabinet of success is my freedom. Because every success is based in a positive lesson that's designed to clear the terrain that you're walking and keep you focused on what's in front of you. I live every day of my life from today to tomorrow. And you know what's interesting, Charlie? When you live from today to tomorrow, that's where self-motivation comes from. There is no self-motivation if what you do is you're living from yesterday to today. People ask me all the time, are you a motivational speaker? And I tell them, no, because if I motivate you, I have to adopt you. And you're not someone I want in my life. I'm not a motivational speaker. I am an educational entertainer. And all I want to do is entertain people with knowledge that creates a sense of fulfillment, a sense of peace, and a sense of freedom in their life. But every choice you make, every decision you make in your life, you make because of which one of those two sets of filing cabinets you go and you pull information out of. And I'm going to go back to this. Every decision you make in your life, you make because that's your choice. And then what does choice create? Choice creates behavior. And behavior is the demonstration of the choice that I've made.
And it's a decision, like you said, to act on that choice. You know, we can make a choice, but if we don't act on it, you know, I once heard a friend talking in a speech one time, said there's 7 birds on a line, and 4 of them decide to fly off. How many birds are left on the line? And everybody says 3, and he says, no, there's 7. Just because they decided to do it didn't mean they did it.
Absolutely. I mean, how many people have you known in your life who were stuck in their life by choice?
Like most people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like a lot of people, a lot of doggone people. Yeah. I don't think, I think that's where I think that's where you have been on for decades. I have been on for maybe a little bit, right around a decade, in the belief in personal choice. I want to throw this out, and this may be, I have so many other things I want to talk to you about. You know, we could talk for a couple of hours, no doubt. I have been bantering about how do I process this with someone who can actually process it, because what I'm going to state is against what is taught so prominently today. I believe your life is all about you. And we're saying, how many times do you read, it's not about you, it's not about you, it's not about you? Well, I just say that's baloney, that it is about you. It is about your choices. It is about your DNA, your personal experiences, the situations that life has thrown upon you and how you decide to use them. It's about you. But, you know, I've come to make a distinction, and that the process is all about, I'll just say me. The process is all about me. The process of making a determination of what I want to do next, what my choices are about, what my beliefs in, are all about me, because it has my DNA, my experience, my beliefs, all of that core. But the impact, Richard, is not about me. It's about how other people are inspired, influenced by what I say I have learned. Is that distinction clear?
It is, yeah, it is to me. Can I take this a level down?
I expect you to.
All of us have an ego.
Yep.
And most people don't understand ego.
Yep.
Charlie, I'm a very selfish person. And I know that about me. But people need to understand there's 2 types of selfishness. And one form of selfishness is that I protect myself from the world wanting to attack me and own me. So I understand the need for me to be selfish. I'm very particular as to whom I let into my life. I don't keep negative people in my life, and I don't care who they are. I don't keep negative people in my life. I'm not fearful for confrontation. All confrontation is learning the skill of resolution. It's not criticism. Confrontation is resolution designed to free you from whatever it is that's holding you or other people hostage. And I am very selfish because I know I can't lead another person past the point where I am. And if I don't protect me, my value to other people diminishes. You know, I told you about this when you and I did the pre-interview. If you could walk around my house here in South Florida, you'd find 3 places where there's a little sticky note, and it says the same thing on all 3 sticky notes. Somebody's going to need me today.
I love that.
Somebody is going to need me today. And if I'm not selfish and protecting me, I won't notice them, and they won't find me.
And you know, that reminds me, That reminds me of I think I may have told you in our conversation of a scripture in the prophet Isaiah. And Isaiah has a vision of the Lord in the temple, and there's all sorts of beautiful and wonderful things happening in the temple. And the Lord says, I need to send somebody out. And Isaiah's the first one to say, here I am, Lord. I've had my spiritual director and my life coach both tell me, and it was independent, they were not talking, said that should be your opening prayer every morning. Here I am, Lord. It's very close to what you're saying. That Absolutely. Here I am, use me. I am here for your service, and I'm going to wait and watch for you to act.
And Charlie, in our world today, there is that second form of selfishness. For what I do is I come to you, I see something you have that I want, and mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal from you. And when I'm done stealing from you, I'm just going to throw you away, because I'm going to use you for me. And that's one of the things that's happening in our world today. Our world has become selfish in a very immature and usatory way. And I'm sorry, Charlie, if this offends anybody, I apologize. But that's what our government is doing today. It's using people. And it's using them by creating that doubt, that worry, and that uncertainty. And in using people, we're stealing life from people. We're stealing the purpose of their life. And I think God put you and I and everybody on this earth to achieve three things: to be better, and every day to do what you said. Ask God, God, use me today. Somebody's going to need me, and use me, and to make us fulfilled. Because when we're fulfilled, our energy continues to replenish itself. And every day, as we fulfill a certain part of our life, it opens that life up to the next dimension. And then God put us here to be free. He gave us free will. We're here to be free. And in being free, I have the right to be whom I am. I have 16 laws that guide my life. Number one is this: why spend my energy being a carbon copy when I'm the original?
That's beautiful. You have a way. Richard Flint, you have a way. I got to tell you, I am so tickled that we had a chance to chat. I wish we lived closer together. I would love to chat with you more. You're very insightful. You're very precise. Your vocabulary, as I said earlier, is very precise. Your ideas are clear, thought through. You can see it's obvious. You've seen this movie before, and you know how to communicate it. You have so much to offer. I can't wait for the show to get out. We'll put it out next week. But thank you so much, Richard Flint, for being on our show today.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I enjoy you. I enjoy the way you think.
Thank you, Richard. That means a lot to me. That's an honor. Well, I want to also thank all our listeners for tuning into the next chapter with Charlie. And until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.